I often think of virtual reality and augmented reality as these gatekeepers to spatial computing. Spatial computing is occurring already. It's this idea that most of our devices and content are placed in our space, in our surroundings. As you move around this space, you're gonna have these experiences which are more blended, right? Like it's an augmentation of your reality. It can be as useful as to see somebody's heart rate right from a glimpse, to completely alter your current reality and place yourself in a video game, right? So it is a very big spectrum of experiences that we're gonna see that go beyond the single screen and the content inside the screen into this idea that the content is surrounding us. So in that sense, I think spatial computing is clearly not only the new economy, it's going to be the one that will make obsolete every other device that we have. Indeed, if you put on some head-mounted display, you could track where the hand is and render a phone in there. So inside the VR headset, you can have a phone, you can have your desktop, you can have everything inside this one device. I think the moment people realize of that and the technology is good enough in terms of like pixel and optics of the HMDs and field of view and tracking, right? Like it doesn't produce any nausea, and you have operating systems going natively into those devices, then you're gonna find how people will transition very fast into that new spatial computing. This brings many opportunities for the economy, right? Somebody's gonna have to manufacture these devices, their peripherals. We don't even know what the mouse is gonna look like inside spatial computing. If you look at controllers being manufactured by different companies, you see how they change in shape, in utilities, in buttons, in every single iteration is different, right? But I think it opens the whole new economy of what content is gonna be inside, right? What does a website look when you are in a spatial computing? Maybe it looks nothing like a current website. At the current moment, I think still very few people have this type of devices. Challenge for the adoption is also that there is no much backward compatibility, like how does a person with a low immersive device interact with a high immersive device, right? Like they need to be interfaced between each other. We're gonna have years of transition, right? Like people were moving from regular phones to smartphones. It didn't happen from one day to another, and they still needed to be able to send SMS to each other, right? So I see at the end of the track, you don't need a laptop anymore, you don't need a desktop anymore, you just have your VR headset, and the VR headset might even have different transparencies on the screen and then like blend it with reality as much as you want to be completely augmented reality or completely virtual reality. The most basic scenario is you would run Windows there, right? I mean, your whole desktop, and then you have a lot of real estate. It's like you have 4 different screens around you, and like you can work anywhere you go. And I think that that's a killer application, right? There are some underserved areas also that are preventing the spread and adoption. I think there are more need for more authoring tools that will allow people to create content and to share the content. We don't have a YouTube. We don't have a, like all the things will need to be reimagined. And at my team at Microsoft Research, that is partially our work, is trying to figure out how things transfer, right? How can people do productivity in VR? How can people do, many things that you were not able to do in normal computing? How spatial computing is going to be different and allow you to do these things. And we're doing a lot of research on the haptic side of it, right? Like how when you grab a digital object that is completely virtual, how do you provide that experience that you're actually grabbing that virtual object in front of you, right? I think institutions like or events like this one provide a very good starting point for people to start thinking about it, to start figuring out and organizing how they want to contribute to this economy, how they want local activity to transfer into these new markets, into these new technologies that are coming up. I think it's also a great place for networking, and these things are important, that you have local institutions pursuing that type of interaction, the serendipity that we say, right? Like, and in these times of stay-at-home orders and like there is limited mobility, I think local institutions will gain even more attention, right? Like before you could travel somewhere to see how people were doing there, and now the local institutions will have to create these type of events where people like me or other experts come here and think about how technology is changing and reshaping the economy.